provide safety nets to test ideas. You have to bring in these big, bold ideas. The important thing is that it's never a failure, it's more evidence to be able to move forward.
You're listening to CEO of Migrant Clinicians Network, Kim Nolte. This is episode 1, season 2 of 1000 Seconds, hosted by Forrest Alton.
Kim Nolte, how are you? It's so good to see you, my friend.
I'm doing awesome, Forrest. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited you accepted our invitation. You are guest 1, season 2. This is just wildly exciting. We don't talk nearly enough, but we're going to have a little chance to chat today.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Let's do just a little bit of bio stuff for those who might not know you as well as I do. Let's see. You are currently the Chief Executive Officer of the Migrant Clinicians Network. Joined that organization in 2023. I know your extensive experience working at the global level, national, state level, community level, all about changing system, policies, programs to improve the health and well-being of communities. Began your career in the Peace Corps in Guatemala. Am I remembering that correctly?
Correct.
Undergrad from Boston University, MPH from Tulane. You have led teen pregnancy prevention initiatives. You have served as the CEO of state-level nonprofits. Some of your early work actually informed President Obama's teen pregnancy prevention program. You have recently been named one of the 100 most influential leaders in global health by Time Magazine, and also recognized with the New Era of Leadership Award, which recognizes executive women in companies shaping the future of business. My goodness, take a seat and a rest, take a bow, do all of those things. Did I miss anything in that intro?
Oh, I don't think so. That was good, Forrest.
I love it. I love bragging about you. Most importantly, Kim, I know that you know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you remember where in that journey of all those accomplishments and accolades and work that you and I first met?
I absolutely do.
I knew you would.
So I was a project officer at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the South Carolina campaign to prevent teen pregnancy was one of our grantees. And so I was sent on a grantee visit, and I recall meeting you. You were the whippersnapper graduate student intern.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with you. And then was even more impressed where 2 years later you became the CEO of the organization and we all wanted you to succeed. There were so many safety nets around you from within the organization and out of the organization to make sure you would succeed. And you and I have been working together for 20 plus years.
Oh, at least. It's important for me to say, since you mentioned it, at the time, in the moment, I might not have known those safety nets existed, but as I have gotten older, I just realized how special it was that I was surrounded with lots and lots of amazing people. You are certainly on that list who just quite literally weren't going to allow me to fail.
Nope, we were not.
It's so special to have had that in my life. So thank you for being a part of that group. My goodness, I didn't expect to get emotional here 2 minutes into our discussion. Kim, before we get too far along here, tell us about the Migrant Clinicians Network. If I'm not mistaken, you had a big birthday there recently. The organization is 48 years old, I think.
40 years old.
So tell us about what you do.
So it was formed 40 years ago, and the focus of Migrant Clinicians Network is to work with the community health centers around the country to build the capacity of clinicians to serve mobile migrant populations, primarily agricultural workers, construction workers, but people who are on the move who are in jobs and occupations that have greater risk to them. And so we're training clinicians in topic areas such as pesticide poisoning, extreme heat, things that people don't normally get exposed to in their jobs.
Yeah.
Avian flu, these type of things. And so we are on the front line of creating resources for clinicians to share with mobile populations. And we're also working directly with the population to make sure that they don't have gaps in healthcare. And as you can imagine, it's rather challenging right now.
Rather challenging and maybe more important than ever, right? I mean, it's hard to sort of compare eras, as it were, with an organization that's 40 years old. But if I think about the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, holy smokes, the work you're doing is so important.
Thank you.
As I said, we're glad to have you here. We're glad you're our first guest of season 2. Now that we know a little bit about you and the organization, I'm getting a note in my ear that we do need to start the clock. So hang on one second. We'll be right back.
Set your timers because Forrest's 1000 Seconds with Kim Nolte starts now.
So Kim, I read a little bit of your bio earlier. Again, started in the Peace Corps, and I've heard you say or read in an interview or article somewhere, it was this 2-year experience that really transformed your life and ignited your passion for social justice and public health. But since then, you have taken on a number of roles. You have led national initiatives. You have rolled out long-term and big-scale collective impact efforts at the state level. You are leading now a national organization. You have spent your career taking on these massive challenges and at scale, right? And are just crushing it. I'd love to hear just a little bit about the mindset that, or the personality type, if you will, that puts someone like you in this position of always looking for the next big thing. I mean, every time we talk, you're sort of like, what is it? What are we going to go solve next? What's the next big thing? How do you get there? How did you get there?
Peace Corps was foundational and absolutely transformational. And I joined nearly 40 years ago. And I live that experience every single day. Every decision I make stems from that experience. And what I learned there in the Peace Corps, I was in Guatemala in the middle of a civil war. And every day I had to get up and be successful without any supervision and guidance. And I was 22. I had to supersede a civil war, coup d'etats in the capital, guerrillas and the army invading my village, no water, mudslides, earthquakes, parasites. Like every single day there was some sort of barrier thrown in my way, and I had to figure out how to be successful. And so I have this mad tenacity, like crazy tenacity. And I know there's a loophole for everything because I saw it in the Peace Corps. I experienced it where I'm living in a low resource, no resource place, working with an indigenous population that only spoke Mom. I spoke Spanish, and we had to solve problems together. And so I have this tenacity combined with this resourcefulness of we'll make it happen with nothing, and with this strategic thinking, like, that you set out in public health, right? You have to put it so that it links together. And I'm highly motivated and energetic and creative. So you put that together and I'm like, let's go. I'm unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. And
I love it.
Peace Corps.
Now, it's one thing for Kim to be those things. And by the way, I can, what is it on LinkedIn? Like I can authenticate that or give you a recommendation for all those adjectives you just used. Check, 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 check. It dawns on me that it's quite another to sort of transfer that energy, transfer that vision, that tenacity to groups of people. And as I think about your career trajectory, you haven't been just working on issues on your own. You have been leading others, rallying others to share your vision. I might even go as far as saying like creating movements. I just wonder what advice you would give to other leaders about sort of like translating this energy that you personally clearly have. How do we get others to follow along in that vision and create the movement aspect?
So I took a course in my 30s called Self-Expression and Leadership through Landmark Education. And that really taught me that you have to touch, move, and inspire people. Touch, move, and inspire. All three of those. If they don't feel touched, moved, and inspired, they're not going to join in that movement. They're not going to donate to the cause. They're not going to be involved in some sort of way. And so every time I'm thinking about this, I'm looking at, did I touch, move, and inspire people? When I was in this course, somebody would give their big idea, and then we'd sit there and we'd like, were you touched, moved, and inspired? And I'm like, well, I was touched, but I'm not moved to do anything, and I'm not really inspired to join you. It was a nice story, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have 3 of 3. And so I'm always looking at how to frame it, how to negotiate, how to bring people along, how to share that leadership. Because the one thing I learned when I was working on a project there is, I had to touch, move, and inspire. I had to do this big, audacious project. I'm like, I got that in spades. I'm working at CDC. And then they're like, and now you need to let somebody else lead. And I'm like, hell no, nobody's going to touch this project. And they're like, that's your leadership issue. And I'm like, what? Delegate? No way. Nobody can do it as great as me. Right. And that was when I learned, like, at some point, if you want this to get bigger, you have to let it go and get out of the way and let the movement take it.
Boy, it's so important. The only way we can achieve impact at scale is to bring others along and at some point let these things go and let others run with them, right?
Yeah. And you have to be able to provide safety nets to test ideas, right? Because you have to bring in these big, bold ideas and you don't know if they're going to work. But the thing is, they don't fail. You get lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
And that's the really important thing, is that it's never a failure. It's more evidence to be able to move forward. And so you have to remember that. And people are like, no, we can't fail. So then they end up keeping things small. But if you're going to be bold and audacious, it has to be big and scary. And then you have to learn from what worked and what didn't work.
It's really interesting. I find myself in rooms saying this to people all the time. Like, if everything we try to do works, we're just not trying hard enough.
You're not learning anything.
Right. Yeah.
We're not
learning. We're not growing. We're not pushing ourselves enough.
No.
Going back to touch, move, inspire just for a second, I'm a sports guy. It reminds me of Jim Valvano's famous speech. He said, there are 3 things everyone should do every day: laugh, think, and have their emotions move to tears.
Oh, wow.
If you did those 3 things every day, that was a hell of a day. We've been in this conversation 10 minutes and all 3 of those things have happened to me. So this is already a hell of a podcast. I appreciate it, Kim, and I appreciate you leaning into it. Listen, I know you well enough to know you're going to try to deflect here, but I'm not going to let you. Some really cool and well-deserved recognition recently. Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in health. You were in the pioneer category there, which describes as health innovation, like the people on this list, reflects humanity at its best. People using all their resourcefulness and ingenuity to help one another live better. Also, the New Era of Leadership 2025 award for the Women Redefining Business as Usual recognizes executive women shaping the future of business. I mean, how cool is that? I tell people all the time, my friend Kim is one of the 100 most influential people in health. Like I said, I know you're going to try to deflect here. I'm not going to let you. One thing awards like this mean, I recognize, is that you've been at this work a long time. Somewhat of a lifetime achievement award, right? And to your point of like, I'm living my lessons from the Peace Corps every single day. This is sort of 40 years of lessons stacking up on top of each other. Side note, it also means you're pretty damn good at the work. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
But I want to ask you this. So you have seen then public health and social justice from the private side, from the federal side, from the nonprofit side. We'll have you back on the podcast when you're ready for the book release, but that's a conversation for another day. But for today, like, some big changes you've seen over the last decades of work on the issues or in communities or gulp at the federal level? Like, what would you say are some of the big changes you have observed over 20, 30, 40 years doing this work?
So, Forrest, I think the biggest change is the one thing that was always there, constant, that annoyed me, which was politics involved in public health. For me, I don't see why health should be political, right? I just don't understand that. And having worked in teen pregnancy prevention and at CDC, I'm like, okay, sexuality, guns, and tobacco, those are politicized. But the big change now is it is across the board, the whole entire sector of public health, even healthcare. It is so politicized. And before, it was more of a lack of information that we were fighting against, of people not knowing and getting the word out. But now we're up against misinformation and strategic disinformation. And that blew up in COVID. And that to me was absolutely shocking to see that. And then this year to see our public health institutions be blown up. I mean, to see USAID wiped off the map in 2 weeks. I could never have fathomed that. And
quite literally people you and I have worked with for decades.
Right. And CDC getting blown up from the inside and then attacked from the outside. I live 2 miles from CDC. I used to work at CDC. The majority of my social work is at CDC. To see the attacks and the attacks on individuals and on the institutions, this is what's alarming to me. And that when a crisis happens and something blows up, things will get rebuilt, but it will be completely different, right? New Orleans, there's things about New Orleans that are the same, and there's things about New Orleans that are very different post-Katrina. And so there will be things that are similar in public health, and then there will be things that are completely different, because who's got the data these days? Amazon, Google, Meta, Aura, they have all the health data, not CDC. They turned off their surveillance systems. So who's got the data? Who's going to move that data in new ways? And what's AI going to do? Right? Because now we're in a place where it's like it's going to be restructured in a very different way. And one of my frustrations was, why is public health and digital life in parallel streams and not working together? Like public health was fax machines and gumshoe stuff, and digital health was like move real fast and skip the regular phone line. Let's go straight to giving everybody a cell phone, right? And I wouldn't see this connection before COVID. Well, that's gonna change. We're gonna see behavioral health in a different way of nudging people to make decisions and precision messages and things.
I have to tell you, all of that matters. I am particularly blown away by this distinction between a decade, give or take a decade ago, lack of information, and now targeted, intentional misinformation. That has happened like in our career and recently. In our career, this has really changed. Right. I mean, we were talking in the teen pregnancy prevention days about like, we need to have these conversations because mom and dad aren't having them. And now we're on the complete other end of the spectrum. Like, people are bombarded with information every day. And if we can't figure out a way to cut through the noise with accurate information, especially as it relates to health and healthcare and vaccines and you name it, I hate to say, but we, if you will, are losing the information war right at the moment.
We are. I mean, there's so many influencers that aren't necessarily skilled and talented, but they have a big megaphone and they're accessing and they're able to touch, move, and inspire people, right?
Wow. Man. It's such an important distinction in terms of, again, how we do our work, how we create movements, how we get other people to join those movements, all of those things. Kim, I'm keeping an eye on the clock here. 16 minutes goes by so fast, or 1,000 seconds, as it were. I know you well enough also to know you're thinking about the next big thing. And I'm not asking you to break any news here. I know you're very committed to your current organization, but like, what's the next big challenge you're thinking about?
And the short term is surviving this administration, right? And really being strong and intentional and making sure that we're doing our best work, jumping over all of those barriers, right? That's first and foremost in my mind. But after that, it's really building that leadership and that mentorship, because we need those new leaders that have to think creatively in this new environment. Because right now we have a new tool, AI. Whereas when I started my career, I had a new tool. It was email and the internet. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, look at all of this. And we're like, oh, we can get information out, right? And so I grew up in that world. Well, my staff are going to be building their careers to 20 and 30 years with AI. And I've got to make sure they're in it right now, practicing it and building those skills, and then building the skills to be able to lead large scale events, right? And so it's really, at this point, I'm looking at leading this organization and making sure that people who are on the move, their healthcare doesn't fall through the cracks. But it's really about building the next labor force of public health, especially when, they're looking to decredentialize whatever word for it. Like
we're gonna have to have episode 2. We're gonna have to have episode 2 for that conversation for sure. This is a good note to end on. This issue and conversation about leadership pipeline is so important, and I want to pick that thread back up the next time we chat. But I am sad to say our time today has come to a close. Kim, I can't thank you enough. We squeezed a lot into 1,000 seconds. Thank you for being guest 1, episode 1, season 2, and I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Oh, thanks, Forrest. I look forward to seeing you too. It's been a while.
It has, but let's correct that. Thanks, Kim.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to 1000 Seconds, a podcast by 1000 Feathers. This series is produced by Renly Wilson with original music from Emily McNally and support from the entire 1000 Feathers team. Learn more at 1000feathers.com and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for future episodes.